on the concepts of air quality and how to measure it and communicate that technical knowledge to our stakeholders. Today, we will be focusing our session on clean air action planning. Before we move on to the session, I would like to highlight some of the house rules for today. I request all participants to kindly stay on mute. All the questions can be put on the chat box. We will also be holding a question answer round towards the end of the session. I would also like to highlight that we will be providing certificates towards the end of 3-day session. Till then, I request you all to kindly participate, contribute, listen, have respect and have fun as well. And take note, and please do participate in the session. We will also be having a short survey and polling round towards the end, which will be really fun. I hope you all participate. So today's agenda is as follows. We are being joined by our eminent panel of speakers, Mr. Yash Pal, who is Municipal Commissioner, Faridabad, Mr. Jignesh Chandar, IFS, Principal Chief Conservator of Forest and Chief Wildlife Warden, Government of Haryana, Shri Anant Prakash Pandey, IFS, Mission Director, Haryana Skill Development Mission, Mr. Vinay Pratap Singh, IAS, Municipal Commissioner, Haryana, Mr. Anil Kumar, Environment Researcher, Clean Air Asia, Ms. Glinda Bathan-Betrina, Deputy Executive Director, Clean Air Asia. I request Dr. Vivek Saxena to kindly address the gathering.
Good morning, everyone. And on behalf of IUCN and Clean Air Asia, I welcome all the panelists, dignitaries, and participants for today's session on capacity building and training program for air quality management focused on the Gurugram and Faridabad cluster. So first of all, I welcome key dignitaries, Mr. Jagdish Chandar. He is the Principal Chief Conservator of Forest and also Chief Wildlife Warden, Government of Haryana. Mr. Anant Prakash Pandey. He is also Indian Forest Service Officer and he is presently Director General of Foreign Cooperation Department, Government of Haryana, and also he is Mission Director for the Haryana Skill Development Mission. And with them, Mr. Yashpal, Deputy Commissioner Faridabad and also Municipal Commissioner Faridabad. He is about to join very soon. And also Mr. Vinay Pratap Singh, who is Municipal Commissioner Gurugram. So he will also be joining along with other panelists. I welcome Ms. Glinda also and Mr. Anil Kumar also for today's session. And as we know that air pollution has become a very, very challenging issue, and how to ensure or take actions for the air quality management. One of the key lessons which we learned during the COVID pandemic, when 1 year back, we had suddenly experienced the unprecedented lockdown when everything came to a standstill, the business value chains, they were all disrupted and we were under constant fear. And those times with the lockdown, there was 1 or 2 positive signals were there, especially in the NCR region, where the challenges of having a cleaner air and cleaner sources of water, they have become quite of serious proportions. That time we could see the cleaner sky, the color of the sky, such a blue color, which we rarely see in the NCR region, twinkling of the stars, cleaner skies, chirping of the birds, and the river sources, the cleaner flow of the water. So it means somewhere we are only responsible, we are not taking care of the nature, what nature has bestowed upon us. And this COVID pandemic has also taught us that we have to take care of the nature, and the connect with the nature need to be sustained for our very survival. So whatever the development practices or whatever we say sort of a development in terms of the infrastructure development, various type of factories, industries, which we think which are very necessary for our economic growth. Certainly they are necessary, they provide livelihood, they provide job. But at the same time, the human health is linked to the surrounding environment. And it is our duty to ensure that how we are able to provide the fresh air and fresh water. And if you see, if we don't take care of this, then in future we have to invest a lot of pollution control measures, maybe the air purifiers, the water cleaner. I see that in our early childhood days, in our generation, we could drink any water from any of the source. But now you see in the new generation, we have to totally dependent on some purifiers, the bottled waters. That itself creates another dimension, because the water that is packaged in a plastic bottles, and that creates another type of pollution related to the plastic. So these are the challenges, especially in the national capital region, where we have increasing number of vehicles. Though we have taken steps for adopting for cleaner sources of fuel, but these measures are insufficient. The traffic management in this region is again a quite challenging issue. And similarly, the industrial effluents also, the waste management, a lot of construction activities are being taken place, and the construction and demolition waste, though number of set of rules they exist. But the integration of, we can say, self-control measures then become everyone feeling responsible that they should have a minimum footprint in terms of for creating these sort of pollutants in our surrounding. So each and every one person need to be sensitized. And through this webinar series, which IUCN in partnership with the Clean Air Asia is organizing for the non-attainment cities which have been identified under the National Clean Air Program. And the first series which we have organized, that is for the Haryana cities cluster of Faridabad and Gurugram. And Faridabad is also comes under the smart city. So yesterday, Ms. Garima Mittal, she also joined, and she is CEO of the Faridabad Smart City Limited. And one of the key quote from her that we can have a smart city only if the surrounding of us, the various type of environmental parameters, they are also smart. So the goal is to sensitize people, having a capacity building. In the first two sessions, which we organize on 18th and 23rd, the technical lectures in terms of the how to place the various pollution monitoring devices and how to measure those pollutants. That is one. Second is, yesterday we had a very good sessions on the communication aspect. And today also sessions will be very, very important. And in future also we will continue to support with such type of sessions. So with these words, I welcome everyone once again. And before we proceed further, though you may have been aware about the IUCN and Clean Air Asia, but let me give you a brief introduction about the IUCN. International Union for Conservation of Nature is one of the oldest conservation network organization, which was set up in 1948, just after the World War II, when hardly there was these challenging issues pertaining to the surrounding environment in those times. But even that time, there was a need was felt to have a conservation network organization. And India has been part of this network organization right from the beginning, as in 1948, when the instrument of accession was signed. Those times, Homi Bhabha represented India. And IUCN is a unique organization in which the national governments are also members, the civil society organizations are also members, and parallelly also the specialized institutions are also members. Like in India, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change is a state member of IUCN. And this network organization, in terms of the membership, globally stands for more than 1,500 members presently, that include number of national governments as a state member. And in India, this network presently stands at 43 members. And globally, IUCN has also a IUCN commission system. There are 6 IUCN commissions. As you may be aware, Species Survival Commission, the Commission on Education and Communication, Commission on Environmental Law. And under this commission membership, it is not necessary that you are a part of the day-to-day activities of the IUCN, but these commission members, they are experts and researchers themselves, and they are organized into various type of specialist group, which undertake various type of studies, assessments, with bringing out various type of conservation tools and products. One of the key flagship product for which IUCN is known, that is the red listing of the species. That is very, very important, because based on the population trend of the particular species, the habitat degradation, the corridor connectivity, and these species assessment categorizes species into vulnerable, endangered, and other those IUCN red listing categories through a very robust system. And once any particular species is categorized into a particular category, then conservation action triggers. And these conservation measures also ensure improvement in the habitat and a number of other issues. So that itself takes care of the biodiversity conservation, improvement of the surrounding environment. And IUCN, in its journey of last more than 70 years, has played a very significant role in shaping the global conservation agenda, maybe the World Conservation Strategy, the 3 Rio Conventions related to the climate change, biodiversity, desertification, the Sustainable Development Goals, Aichi biodiversity targets, and post-2020 biodiversity framework. And recently, IUCN has also launched the global standards on nature-based solutions, which are now very, very important to integrate into all our actions. And IUCN also has a very significant event every 4 years, that is the World Conservation Congress, which shapes the future conservation agenda. And this Congress, which was scheduled in 2020 June in Marseille, France, now it will be held in September of this year. So that will be a very key watershed event post COVID pandemic, though still there are many challenges related to the COVID pandemic. So with these words, I welcome everyone once again. I will just show you a very short video about the IUCN, which captures the IUCN journey since its beginning, before taking the proceedings forward. Please see this very short video. So thank you very much. And this was a very short video capturing the IUCN journey since its inception. And with these words, I welcome everyone, all the key dignitaries, panelists once again. And over to Achal to take forward the proceedings.
Thank you, Dr. Vivek, for the warm welcome. I now request Ms. Pratna Bora, India Director, Clean Air Asia, to introduce us to the IBAC program and the guidance framework.
Thank you, Achal, and good morning all. Thank you, Vivek, for that introduction. Welcome, Jagdish sir. Welcome, Anand sir. Thank you very much for joining us. It's a great encouragement for us to have, dignitaries. Yashpal sir has also joined us. Thank you very much for joining us. I think one of the very positives for us during this capacity building program is that we've been able to mobilize, such senior level officials to be with us, because it's a huge encouragement, because addressing air pollution is not just about scientists working on generating data and, making that data available, but also how we can address the problem. And this addressing of the problem is where we actually need to work together. And as Clean Air, for us, as an organization which has been working very, very directly on the ground with cities, with departments, we know the challenges of coordination. We know the challenges that need to be addressed, even in terms of interdepartmental coordination, because air pollution in itself is very complex and requires multi-stakeholder, multi-level policy interventions. And sometimes it is very difficult for a single department to address this issue. So we are really very happy. These 3 days have been very positive, because we had departmental representation from different organizations. And as an organization, I think we feel capacity building is one area that we can really contribute to, because Clean Air Asia's niche has been that we have been working in Asian cities, about 1,000+ Asian cities, in terms of looking at informing policy, which means that we look at scientific research that supports policy. So when it comes to a city level action planning, because today's session is focused on city level action planning, we can support the assessment process, which positions a city in a particular level. So there are 5 categories, from a developed to a matured level to a fully developed level. How does a city progress, and what are the strategies, what are the methodologies and the scientific processes that are required for a city to progress and actually achieve clean air goals? So I think that is one area that Clean Air Asia has been working in. And this capacity building session has been organized under the Integrated Better Air Quality Program, which is an Asia level program we have been conducting for the last 7 to 8 years, and for the last 3 years in India, supported by the government of Japan, which focuses on capacity building of officials in terms of 6 guidance areas. The guidance framework is a voluntary guidance methodology that has been developed by Clean Air Asia in consultation with governments, including our own Central Pollution Control Board has been a part of the process. There are 6 areas that we focus on. The first 3 are scientific assessment data related, in terms of air quality monitoring, in terms of modeling, source opportunity, emissions inventory, and health impact assessment, which actually look at a scientific basis for air quality management. And then, of course, we have the engagement process, which is looking at communications. How do you translate the scientific information to a methodology that is understood by the citizens, who are so much part of our process of air quality management? And then finally, of course, the clean air action planning part, which is a policy aspect, and the governance mechanisms that are required for it. So these are the 6 areas that the guidance framework focuses on. And as part of the capacity building programs that we are having, for this particular cluster, we are focusing on monitoring, which looks at how we are going to generate data, because that is a challenge that we see in cities in India at the moment, because many of the cities are trying to generate data. And so what are the scientific processes that requires in the scientific monitoring process? The second is communication, because public engagement, and without citizen support, nothing can be achieved. So that is one aspect that we looked at. And yesterday the session was on communications, public engagement. How do you look at strategies to communicate the data that is being generated by scientists, so that people are more conscious and participate in the clean air process? And finally, today we are going to touch upon clean air action planning, which is again a process that is actually absolutely necessary for implementation, and which is why I think today is great for us, because we have multi-departmental also representations at senior level. So I'm really very, very grateful for all of you that you have joined us. It is a huge encouragement, and I of course look forward that it doesn't end with this training program, and hopefully we are able to support your cities in developing and assessing clean air programs, so that we can contribute in terms of cleaning the air of the cities that you are leading. Welcome once again, and I look forward to a very fruitful session. And thank you very much for joining us again. Thank you, Achal.
Thank you, Ms. Pratna. Now I invite Mr. Yash Pal, IAS, Municipal Commissioner, Faridabad.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for having me on this program. In fact, as Deputy Commissioner, I was dealing with such type of issues, but distantly. But now I'm also having additional charge of Municipal Commissioner Faridabad. So it's the direct mandate of the urban local bodies. And I would like to just say thanks for sensitizing people through such type of programs, and providing a platform where we can interact and share the ideas. I would like to share 2-3 personal experiences which I gained as earlier Commissioner Municipal Corporation Gurugram, where I implemented a few things, and now as Commissioner Municipal Corporation Faridabad, where I want to replicate a few things which really help in curbing the air pollution back in Gurugram. So as we know all, if the roads are dust free and there are no potholes, we can smooth the traffic movement, and we can avoid a lot of pollutants entering into the air. That is a well-known fact, and we are trying our level best to resolve such type of issues. But important thing which I feel which are contributing a lot of dust and doing a lot of air pollution is open spaces, CND waste dumping, kitchen waste and plastic waste and dry waste burning. All these issues are very, to be very frank, the direct mandate of not only the urban local bodies, but these are very easy to manage. There are SOPs, there are ways and means. So I would like to just share 2 experiences. Number 1, we want to provide more treated water through micro STPs and decentralized STPs. Right now, we are creating a lot of STPs which are having big capacities. We are treating the water and the water is just flowing down the drain again. We are not able to use that water. So the model, and it should be propagated, should be micro STPs in various parts of the city, where we can treat the sewage and use it for irrigation in the parks and green belts, and even we can use it for sprinkling purposes along the roads and in open spaces where dust is generated. So by doing this, we can get 3 benefits. The most important, we can curb the air pollution by irrigating the open spaces and irrigating the parks and green belts, and can provide more moisture in the air, can provide more green areas, and that can really help in curbing the air pollution. Secondly, it can help in management of sewage in the city. Overflow problem can be resolved very easily because it will treat the local available sewage. And finally, it can reduce the dependence of the potable water which we are using for irrigation purposes in green belts and parks and even in the household. So as per the law, even we have to use the treated water for secondary uses in the household itself. So this one thing is very, very effective if we can use it, and it's very cost effective. In fact, if you see the maintenance and operation cost of the big STP plants, it is very huge, and then we have to incur a lot of expenses on carrying this sewage to the long and big plants and then managing the treated water. So decentralized micro STPs can be used as a project which can help in reducing the air pollution, and we are doing a pilot project in Faridabad, and data would be available in next 6 months. So this is one thing which we are contemplating and seriously trying to do it in our city. Second issue is construction and demolition waste management. People are doing a lot of construction activities in cities like Faridabad and Gurugram, and they are throwing the CND waste here and there in open spaces, on the road banks, and open vacant plots, etc. So this CND waste is generating a lot of dust, which is creating a whole lot of air pollution. So what we did in Gurugram, we hired an agency and given the mandate to collect the CND waste from the doorstep. So generator was expected to inform through a call toll-free number to municipal corporation, and municipal corporation hired agency was expected to go his doorstep and collect the CND waste and directly take it to the CND waste management plant. So in between, lot of air pollution can be prevented by collecting it directly from the household and taking to the CND waste management plant. So second thing, which is in my opinion doing lot of air pollution, is this project. And fortunately in Faridabad also we have finalized our tender process, and we are in process of making this functional, and this plant would be functional in next month only. So by collecting this CND waste and processing it and recycling, reusing it, it would not only add to the circular economy, but also prevent a lot of air pollution. Then in Faridabad especially, we face a lot of problems. People are throwing the kitchen waste and dry waste, and especially the plastic waste, open places. And even a few contractors and rag pickers and a few other fellows, they are putting it on fire, and this is contributing in a lot of air pollution. So now we have planned to make a very robust system to get this all the kitchen waste and other waste segregated at household level and collected on daily basis from the household level and segregate it properly, then reuse the dry waste and take the kitchen waste at the composting place. And some other few projects, like we have started a pilot project where we are generating some kitchen gas out of this municipal waste. So such type of projects we are creating in Faridabad, where we can use this kitchen waste for a better purpose, and that can really prevent a lot of air pollution. Even the plastic, we have started making tiles of this plastic. And first project which I did was in Gurugram. We use lot of plastic tiles in a project. It's a bund which is known as Jarsa bund, and these plastic tiles were laid on the walking track. And last 2.5 years, I have walked on this track a lot, and the tiles are in a perfect condition. So we can consume a lot of plastic in a project like this. Secondly, we did a pilot project in Gurugram again, and we used a lot of plastic waste for making road, and the roads are again in perfect condition. So in Faridabad also we are in process of installing a unit where we will be treating this plastic waste. It would be collected through collection center. We will pay to the rag pickers 10 rupees per kg of any sort of plastic waste, and after that we will process it and reuse it. So by doing such type of activities, we can stop and prevent burning of such type of waste, which can also prevent further air pollution. So frankly speaking, the 5 rules which were notified in year 2016 have a lot of answers to prevent the air pollution. And if the government functionaries and specifically the urban local bodies can implement these rules in latter spirit, we can prevent a lot of air pollution. So I'm looking forward to the solutions of other air pollutants, and I'm very hopeful and positive that initiatives like this would provide a lot of new ideas, and these would motivate us to implement these ideas. And by doing such type of initiatives, we can make our cities a better place to live in. Again, thankful to you all for providing this opportunity, and I would like to be associated with such type of initiatives in future also. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yashpalji. And first of all, let me thank you for joining this at a very short notice. And Yashpalji, with your vast experience, especially in Gurugram as well as Faridabad, both the municipal corporations you have seen, and you are very well aware of the pollution-related challenges in the region. And especially now, Faridabad also, you have a mammoth task. And so some of the, I think, key challenges relate to it, like in Faridabad, we have been witness to drying off of the water bodies, or you can say disappearing of the water bodies. Bhatkal Lake, I think rejuvenation, it should be one of the very ambitious program. Similarly, if you can also, I think, consider, which we say, I think Agra Canal, or the canal which connects from when all the way from Faridabad when we move towards the UP side and Noida side. So in that, if we can have in future some sort of an ambitious target of having the cleaner water in that, because if you walk around that canal and that landscape, if it is improved, I think it can have lot of value, because I think industrial effluents and all. So those, I think, treatment plant which you are already, I think, taking initiatives to set up, including that construction, demolition, waste treatment plant. I think these such initiatives, I think, will play a very pivotal role in ensuring air for the people surrounding in the NCR region, especially Gurugram, Faridabad, and also with green belt and all, recharge of the water, cleaner sources of water. And I think this will be the future. This should be the future, our ambition as well as target for taking it forward. So once again, I thank you very much for joining for today's proceeding. Achal, you can take the proceedings further.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Yashpal sir, for sharing different initiatives. Now I request Mr. Anant Prakash Pandey, Mission Director, Haryana Skill Development Mission, to kindly address the gathering.
Good morning to all of you once again. And I'm thankful to the organizers for inviting me as to address this session. And this is a very well-timed event that is being organized by IUCN and Clean Air Asia. And I congratulate the organizers for this. Clean air, as we know, is the provisioning of clean air itself is a public good, and we all understand the challenges of public good provision. So how institutional mechanism, what policy initiatives we have to take in terms of provision of such a public good, where the pollutants, as with all the disadvantage with the public good that is there, this sort of management of public good is again a very difficult challenge for governments as well as for the private players also. So the governments have formulated a lot of regulations in terms of managing clean air, in terms of clean air management and clean air maintaining clean air quality. But besides all these institutional mechanisms or the regulations, we find that the implementation of such regulations is not up to the mark, and that is why we find that a lot of air pollution is happening, and the quality standards are difficult to maintain. So how do we actually look in terms of when I present myself in terms of a mission director for skills mission, how do I foresee what are challenges we can meet in this capacity? Then I will come to the other capacity as a DG and Secretary of Foreign Cooperation Department. So in terms of the current workshop, that the subject of the workshop is capacity building. If we define capacity building, it is basically development of competence through training, through interactions. So the challenge with all sort of capacity building workshops that I found actually is that it is mostly at the superficial level, and it is sometimes limited to arrangement of workshops, meetings. But in terms of actual capacity building, what I would suggest is that it actually trickles down to those who are implementing, especially at the lowest rung of government, especially at the lowest rung of people, because what happens is that as I told you, the development of competence in terms of understanding of the air pollution that is happening, in terms of the improvement in the air quality. How do you actually ensure all these things? The officials that are involved, the public that is involved in this, needs to be aware of this, needs to develop those competence in terms of understanding the problems with air quality. So how do I perceive it as a solution is basically that it should not only be limited to one department or specific departments controlling air pollution, but mainstreaming of all the air quality management. Because as we have seen, mainstreaming of climate change, this is a much required area of mainstreaming of air quality management or clean air management. Because at each level of governance, whether it is a local self-government, whether it is an individual as part of society or a civil society organizations, the understanding and the understanding of clean air management needs to percolate not only at the highest policy levels, but also at the lowest policy levels as well as those who are implementing it. This helps in successful implementation as well as understanding of that this challenge of air pollution. So mainstreaming of the clean air management is one of the important aspect that I would actually request the organizers once they actually, so that could be within their policy framework that they're suggesting. And the intervention needs to be from part to whole, rather than normally in workshops we do suggest a very holistic frameworks, but in terms of taking it to the ground and detailing it out in terms of how does it match from the part to the whole, and bring the holistic picture to the policymakers that how it is helping in clean air management. And on the aspect of foreign cooperation department, there are a lot of governments, especially the Scandinavian governments, which are involved in the climate change activities, which is one of the aspects of air quality management and air pollution. And I am in touch with some of the Scandinavian government organizations as well as some private organizations also, wherein because air pollution is one of the biggest contributor to the climate change, as we all know. So these countries, especially the Scandinavian countries, have done really well in terms of climate change mitigation, in terms of maintaining clean air quality. So along with IUCN also, IUCN has in fact sent a request for collaboration with Haryana government in the field of not only forestry, but also in the field of climate change mitigation. And we would be really happy to be at that whole thing is under process. And we would be, I do foresee a very, a very possible collaboration between Haryana government and IUCN on the lines of climate change, because as we all know, Haryana is the geographical location of Haryana, of about 2/3 of its region is actually within the national capital region, and approximately 17-18 districts out of the 22 districts of Haryana are part of the NCR region. So we are a very, very key stakeholder. Haryana is a very, very key stakeholder in terms of climate change, or you say micro climate change within the NCR region. So that foreign cooperation department will be very, very much willing to facilitate such sort of MOUs between IUCN and government of Haryana and any other stakeholders, which we would be on part of foreign cooperation department, that I just now told that we are in touch with the Scandinavian countries and some of those who are involved in climate change mitigation policies. We would be very happy to bring them on board for further interactions to see how they can also be engaged in terms of making policies which are useful for climate change mitigation as well as air pollution control. So with these words, I'm really again thankful to the organizers, especially Vivek Saxena sir, who has invited me. And I wish the organizers wish you good luck for this organization, this event, and and I really hope that something fruitful is at the end of the workshop is available in terms of policy interventions and solutions to the air pollution that is happening in and around mostly NCR region. Thank you once again, all of you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your thoughts, and we look forward to partnering with you in the upcoming months. Now I request Mr. Jignesh Chandar, IFS, Principal Chief Conservator of Forest and Chief Wildlife Warden, Government of Haryana, to address the gathering.
Very good morning to you all. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we all need a healthy environment. We all need to breathe in fresh air. And why only human beings? Human beings constitute just one species out of 0.84 to 30 million species known to exist on the earth. We need to take care of wildlife. We need to take care of birds, avifauna, reptiles, amphibians, fish, and invertebrates. Yes, it is our moral responsibility and it's our duty to take care of other forms of life as well. In my talk, I'll not restrict to Faridabad and Gurugram alone, but I'll cover the air pollution aspects in general. And wherever particular, I'll talk about Faridabad and Gurugram as well. I'll talk about air pollution, what are the reasons, what are the causes, and whether is there any solution as regards the mother nature, the plant world. Well, if you look at the air composition, we all know that normal air should have something around 78% of nitrogen, 21% of oxygen, maybe something around 0.93% argon, a little bit of neon, and then carbon dioxide should be something around 0.04%. Any deviation in this composition would amount to the air pollution. That is what I understand. I'm not an air pollution expert. It's not my cup of tea, but yes, I have some connection because I'm a biologist. I'm concerned with the plants and the animals. Well, on this occasion, I would like to use one term, that is invasive alien entities. That means if some chemicals which are not present normally in the air, if they will find their entry into the air, definitely we can call them as invasive alien entities. So some pollutants like undesirable presence of carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, sulfur, mercury, lead fumes, dust particles, polyaromatic hydrocarbons, all these chemicals, dioxins, all these chemicals, if they find their entry into the air, they will pollute the air. Well, these chemicals, undesirable chemicals, can cause a lot of problems, respiratory problems. They can cause cardiovascular problems. They can cause immune system related problems. They can disrupt hormones. They can even disturb the reproductive systems also, and they can cause a number of other problems like high blood pressure, kidney failures, and liver failure, etc. Well, coming to the sources of pollution, we all know that kerosene oil or burning of fuel-wood fossil fuels is a major issue, which is responsible for the air pollution. And then apart from that, certain industries like cement industries, then industries which emit lead, paints, varnishes, batteries industries also, they are responsible for causing the air pollution. And apart from that, nobody mentions what does deforestation, but I think it is also responsible in the sense that when you clear the land, when the land becomes barren, then the soil is exposed to the vagaries of nature. The soil gets dried up, and whenever there is wind, the wind carries a lot of dust in the air, and it causes a lot of problem. Another issue that is causing a big problem in and around the NCR, Gurugram, and Faridabad, we all know, is the stubble burning, and stubble burning, then even burning of wheat straw. Mainly it is stubble burning, and when well, come in November or October, then you will see a lot of petty straw burning in and around the NCR region. And apart from that, as far as India is concerned, ladies and gentlemen, we may be talking very high, but the fact is that even today, 60% of Indian population still uses fuel wood to cook food. And not only this, about 6 million tons, sorry, stand corrected, 6 million tons of cow dung is burned every year, especially in Haryana, to cook food. When it comes to the crop residues, you see, the study has been conducted recently, and it has been found that 3 species of cereals, that is maize, wheat, and paddy, they contribute to the major residue production. And the figure that the recent study has quoted is that it's something around 500 million tons. And when these residues are burned, carbon dioxide to the extent of 149.24 million tons are produced every year in India. And then apart from that, 9 million tons of carbon monoxide, 0.25 million tons of sulfur dioxide, and 0.07 million tons of black carbon. Yes, these pollutants are released every year into the atmosphere. And the effect, 300,000 to 400,000 human beings in India died due to this pollution every year. And not only this, the study also quotes that 30% Indians have weaker lungs compared to their European counterparts. And Asian brown clot is also the main, is also due to this reason. Coming to the solution part, we all know and that the plants, the वृक्ष धरती के वो हरे फेफड़े हैं जिनमें प्राणवायु ऑक्सीजन बनती है, वो कुदरत के वो कारखाने हैं जिनमें ऑक्सीजन बनती है जिसे लेकर हम रहते हैं, वो प्रदूषण के हलाहल को पीते हैं, वो किडनीज हैं, वो गुर्दे हैं कुदरत के जो कि केमिकल्स को प्रोसेस करते हैं. Yes, they are the green lungs of Mother Earth. They are the factories for the production of life-giving oxygen. They are the kidneys and the liver of nature which process the chemicals, and therefore the solution lies there. When it comes to dust pollution, yes, some plants are there which can absorb dust from the air, and the characters of the species which can absorb a lot of dust should have rough leaves. They should have large leaves, and species like Ficus bengalensis, bird. Then the sacred the people, Ficus religiosa, they very well fulfill these conditions. So if we have a lot of dust problem in cities, in towns, even in rural areas, we can go for planting of these Ficus species. And apart from these, I will also mention some other species. I think those who are familiar with the Pterospermum acerifolium, that is dinner plate tree, it has got very big leaves. And if you look at the ventral portion of its leaf, not only it is bigger in size, but the ventral portion of the leaf has a number of protruding veins, and these are the veins which will interrupt dust particles. Then there is one more plant which you can think of planting in India, particularly in Faridabad and Gurugram, that is your parijat. Parijat is also called as night blooming jasmine. It's also called har singar. If you touch its leaf, you'll find it will give a feel of sandpaper, and that is particularly meant for absorbing the dust pollution. So you can plant such species. Apart from that, there are some Other species like camel foot climber, not for Faridabad or for Gurugram area, but for other areas, this species can be planted as it has got big leaves and again protruding veins which will interrupt dust particles. Staticolia lata is another species which you can plant. Buchnani elegans, that is Assyrian plum, is another species which can be planted in areas where we have problem of dust particles. And particularly in areas where you have the problem of mercury, there's the one species that is lucerne, or this is also called as Medicago stiva, then Medicago denticulata. These are the species which are known to absorb mercury from the air. So these species can be planted in areas where there is problem of mercury, and then you can, if you have, if you are lucky enough to live in conifer areas, then you can plant a lot of conifers. Conifers are known to absorb a lot of carbon dioxide and other pollutants from the air. Then again, cold areas, there are certain more trees which can be planted there. Silver maple, then cypress, then honeycrisp yew. These trees are known they have proved themselves to absorb a lot of pollutants from the air. Now, as regards the stubble management, you know that Indian Agriculture Research Institute has recently come out with one composition which is called Pusa decomposer. It's a consortium of 8 fungi, and some of these fungi include cellulose degrading fungi like trichoderma, then you have aspergillus, then thermomyces. These 8 fungi, a consortium of these 8 fungi mixed with the jaggery will degrade the stubbles within 20 to 25 days. Well, another very important, I call these stubbles as food. You know, on one hand, this can be directly fed to the cattle, and on the other hand, you can convert it into real food. You see, there are 2 fungi or mushrooms. One is your dhingri, that is Pleurotus, which grows very well on pedestal. And estimates are there that not more than 1% of paddy stubbles are used for producing this Pleurotus or dhingri. And estimates are there that if we are able to use even 10% of paddy stubbles, will be able to meet the nutritional requirement of the country. We all know that Sustainable Development Goals have become effective from 1st of January 2016, and these Sustainable Development Goals are now 5 years old. And one of the goals is zero hunger, though not related directly to air pollution, but it has got connection. You see, zero hunger, yes, the goal number 2. And not only we are now talking about food security, but we have started talking about the nutritional security as well. So mushroom is one species which is the only source of vitamin D for the vegetarians. Vegetarians, you know, we used to think that India, people in India do not have problem of vitamin D, but when we get ourselves tested, when we get ourselves checked out, we find that we are short in vitamin D as well. Another thing that I would like to tell in general is that when we eat the mushrooms, if they are growing in wild, they will definitely be very rich in vitamin D. But if they are coming from, say, the mushroom which is coming from the conditions which is grown under direct conditions, will not be very rich in vitamin D. So if you keep it for some time in the sun, there is one reaction under which alpha-cetosterol is converted into alpha-castosterol. That means the vitamin D content will increase from 5,000 times to 10,000 times. So if we are able to convert those stubbles, use those stubbles for mushroom production, definitely not only we will be able to reduce the air pollution, but we will also have good food, and will be going for balanced diet as well. When it comes to reducing pollution inside the doors, yes, there's a lot of pollution in our houses. Domestic pollution is there, especially when we go for paints and varnishes. A lot of lead is produced, and that lead causes lung cancer. So there are certain plants particularly the plants belonging to category C3. Those who are familiar with C3 means these plants will close their stomata. Stomatas are the openings through which almost all plants will absorb pollutants. This stomata will remain closed during daytime because these plants grow under very tough conditions, under very high temperature conditions, and then under water stress conditions, they will close their stomata during daytime, but they will open their stomata during nighttime, absorbing carbon dioxide and releasing the oxygen. Those who are familiar with these C3 plants, there is a kind of metabolism which is called can-castellation acid metabolism. So such plants, when kept indoors, they will definitely reduce the indoor pollutions. Some of the plants which can be included for reducing the air pollution are spider plant, which we call as chlorophytum elatium, sensiveria. You can include tulsi also. You can include, and then geranium. Yes, aloe vera, very well known plants. You can include petilanthus. You can include areca palm. You can include. People are talking about climate change. I think we can all contribute. We cannot just stop climate change, but we can all contribute in reducing the climate change, and that is by going for reducing the energy. The big problem in case of climate change is due to high energy demand. So if we adopt energy conservation practices, we all know how to do that. Yes, we can contribute significantly in reducing the climate change. And then particularly demon, they are susceptible to the smoke that contains dioxin, and dioxin is very harmful for the human beings. So smokeless chullas are available, and smokeless chullas, if they are used, the pollution, air pollution, especially for lungs, can be reduced drastically. And then if there are false smelling areas, I'm sure there are not many in Faridabad and Gurugram. The plants which have fragrant flowers, which are fragrant in nature, can be used. Some of these plants which can be given due place include yes, night blooming jasmine, and then chameli, and then Raat Ki Rani, and then Din Ka Raja, and then you can also include climbers like honeysuckle and Jhumuka bale, and yes, why not roses? So that's all I want to say. Thank you, Dr. Saxena, for giving me an opportunity to speak on this occasion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. And it is really a great honor to have you with your vast ocean of knowledge, especially when we talk of the air pollution issues. So generally, we talk more presently on the monitoring aspect. And first, because we don't go to such type of solutions, these are nature-based solutions, which you have just mentioned, that we should create such type of a green infrastructure along with the other side of physical or concrete infrastructure. And especially the examples which you gave, integrating those as a part of the greening plan of in the urban cities, that will not only address the air pollution issues by reducing it, but at the same time, the urban biodiversity aspect, and also the urban people, environmental health issues, because most of the health issues in these cities related to the respiratory problems or other types of problem, high blood pressure, they are all related to these pollution challenges. And addressing these pollution challenges through these greening mechanisms, site-specific appropriate plantations of these species through appropriate green species, the green lung, and that is really very, very vital. And certainly the IUCN and Clean Air Asia would like to have you also as a knowledge partner or resource person for our future such type of series of workshop, because the vast ocean of knowledge in terms of the right choice of the species in these cities for addressing air pollution issues is really very, very important. Thank you, sir, once again, and handing over to Achal to take the proceedings further.
Thank you, Dr. Saxena. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Now we move on to our technical session. Now I invite Mr. Anil Kumar, Environment Researcher, Clean Air Asia, to kindly address the gathering on Clean Air Action Plan development.
Thank you, Achal. my screen is visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to present the guidance framework on Cleaner Action Plan. Cleaner Action Plan is a collection of regulation, policy, and program that intended to improve air quality and public health by identifying cost-effective measures to reduce emission from various sectors. So the significance of Cleaner Action Plan could be understand. Uh, uh, as we all know that what is our ambient air quality standards and what quality of air we breathe in metro cities. Of course, we want development, but we also want breathable air quality. Therefore, we need some practices, rules to abate the pollution from their sources. It is very simple to abate the pollution from their sources, but due to site-specific differences and chronology of technological implementation in various sectors and many other political and social forces become the barrier to control their pollution in ambient air. Another thing is transboundary pollution, which is generated is another place and impacted to other region, and this is also a big challenge for scientific community. In this presentation, I've tried to organize the steps for formulation of cleaner action plan. The sequence may be vary when you are going to prepare a cleaner action plan for an urban region. So I will discuss the cleaner action plan into four major categories and subcategories. The first category talk about the ground level assessment of geographical significance, socioeconomic profile, and meteorological condition of the region. And second category talk about air quality and source of air pollution. It includes air quality monitoring, assessment of primary sector of emission sources, and assessment of ongoing action plans. And the third category talk about cleaner action plan, in which suggestion for cleaner action plans and suggestions for review mechanism will be discussed in subsequent slides. The fourth category about what Cleaner Asia can have done on cleaner action plan, in which development of methodology for cleaner action plan will be discussed. So I will first discuss the ground level assessment. Since all categories are important steps in cleaner action plan formulation, therefore I have assigned a mark and it is highlighted in red font color. So the significance of ground level, ground geographical location have an important role in governing the meteorological factor. The meteorological factors such as prevalent wind direction play important role in transboundary pollutant in the study region. The land use pattern and land cover is another factor which play a very significant role in pollutant dispersion and the importance of formulating and evaluating a strategy for abatement and control of air pollution. It also have significant in providing information on clean air pollution hotspot or heat island. For example, location of the cluster of industry or where brick clean plants are located. Those locations might be pollution hotspots. Uh, GIS and remote sensing techniques for land use mapping can be an effective tool to undertake the inventory of land use and also provide temporal information required to understand sustainable land management practices. And buffer zone is a natural zonal area that lie between two or more bodies of land. A buffer zone provides a pollutant to disperse and dilute the high concentration of pollutant in natural zonal area, resulting pollutant dose become reduced. Uh, in terms of socio-economic profile, the socio-economic profile of the city provides information of city projected growth, change in land use, in industrial growth. Generally, city master plan document present the above information along with information on the planning guidelines. policy, development code, and space required for various socioeconomic activity for supporting city growth during the projected plan period. Uh, meteorological factor play an important role mm, in various factors. First, I've talked about wind flow pattern. The wind flow pattern on the study region is important in two ways. It helps in the dispersion of pollutants originated in the selected region, and another one is identifying the concentration of transboundary pollutant receiving at monitoring station installed in the study region. And we have talked about mixing height. Mixing height determines the volume available for dispersion of pollutant by convection or mechanical turbulence, and it is used in environmental monitoring and prediction of air pollutant. The mixing height is a height of vertical mixing of air and suspended particle above the ground. This height is determined by observation of atmospheric temperature profile. The third one is assimilative capacity of atmosphere. Assimilative capacity of atmosphere is defined as a maximum load of pollutant that can be added without compromising of its resource. And the planetary boundary layer, which is the lowest part of the atmosphere, this region is directly influenced by Earth's surface in the form of frictional drag, like topology or obstacles like buildings and solar heating and evapotranspiration. This all comes under micrometeorology. So micrometeorology is also important factor. So in this slide, I've presented a ventilation coefficient that is talks about assimilative capacity of atmosphere. So it is for Delhi from 2066 to 2014. We can see that during winter season, ventilation coefficient low, and it indicates that pollutant potential of atmosphere is very less as compared to the summer season. And this may be the probable region of uh, pollutant concentration recorded high in during winter season. So meteorological factor is very important for any region. So the second category of this presentation, and it contained the content of S2 and S4 steps. So this section of air quality monitoring station is very important in terms of identifying the location and transboundary pollutants. In the previous slide, I've discussed the wind flow pattern and transboundary pollutant in geographical assessment sections. Let the Gurugram and Faridabad monitoring location map, we can understand the significance of monitoring location on our study region. In Faridabad, the real-time monitoring and manual stations are showing more number at the north side and south and west direction is found vacant. So we have to think about is this monitoring station give right image of each of the pollutant emitted in the Faridabad district, or it comes from transboundary states. So placement of monitoring stations is very important. It can be done by studying the annual or decadal meteorological conditions. So at present, here I have mentioned the manual and real-time monitoring station installed in Faridabad and Gurugram. So before starting monitoring, we have to know about the certification system of air quality monitoring instruments. We have to conduct training for instrument handling and calibration and data analysis practice. For this purpose, we have to build up the network with technical institution. So now in this slide, I'm going to discuss the data analysis and their outcomes. From manual monitoring stations, we have two data. One is mass concentration of pollutant, and second one is chemical constituent present in the particles. Mass concentration data can be used in presenting the daily profile of pollutant and can be used for exposure dose analysis. And the concentration of chemical constituents can be used to identify the pollution sources based on marker chemical constituents with the help of mass balance approaches. So, and continuous air quality monitoring stations provide real-time pollutant concentration data. By using this real-time data, we can analyze the hourly, daily, monthly variation in data. Similarly, we can analyze the respiratory deposition doses of pollutant by using models and method presented here. We can also perform the source apportionment analysis with back trajectory analysis to find the near or far sources. Many more other methods are also gives the probable picture of a possible source around the monitoring location. We can also perform a correlation analysis to identify the relation between pollutant concentration and meteorological uh, parameters. Uh, Here I've presented the pollutant concentration and one of the major influencing meteorological parameter, that is wind speed. So in this graph, I've tried to show the wind speed pattern and PM concentration. The PM concentration showing gradually increases trend with decreasing wind speed during monitoring period. And it can be, so this graph is of 2019 during Diwali period, when most of the cleaner action plans are implemented. But at the same time, wind speed is goes down, so the pollution concentration showing higher peak. So the impact of meteorological factor you can see in this analysis, in this figure. So now we discuss about assessment of different sector of emission sources. Assessment of different sector of emission sources is necessary. This assessment gives about real picture of mass of pollutant contributed by individual sectors. For this analysis, we can use sector-wise emission inventory, grid-based emission inventory. In sector-wise emission inventory, we have to collect activity level data and of activity level data of individual emission sources and emission factors. This can be converted as a grid-based emission inventory. Source location and receptor are marked on GIS-based map by selecting square kilometer of grid. And grid-wise emission rate for different source group for a specific pollutant like PM10 can be worked out from baseline emission inventory data. We have to identify the technological upgradation scope for abatement of pollution at the source. Identification marks on industry will helpful in follow up the effect of technical upgradation process and their impact on air quality. And cost benefit analysis could be involved for economically feasible technology upgradation. So here the type of some emission sources. There are some source presented in the chart, such as area source, point source, line source. So we can perform dispersion model for analyzing the concentration at receptor points from the sources. We can generate the source profile of chemical constituents and use the source identification in chemical mass balance methods. So, this image presented in the slide showing that a schematic presentation of how emission inventory and source apportionment models are linked. So, in the above slides, I presented two approaches. One is real-time and our manual monitoring station. We have collected pollutant concentration data. And second one is by collecting source specific data and make an emission inventory theoretical approach. And so in this picture how both data are linked. Uh, I have shown in this image. And third, the slide presents the assessment of ongoing action plans. Under this assessment, we have to list out the sector-wise ongoing action plans. Analysis of field review report on ongoing action plans. Find out the issue arising during implementation of ongoing action plans, and comparative study of ongoing action plans with your quality data to identify how the impact of implemented plan on air quality. So these are the major sector. Those contribution from these sources can be varies with the region. So now we have enough data to prepare a cleaner action plan. The data from each analyzed point is necessary in preparing the cleaner action plan. However, the steps can be some other order. In this slide, all studied points are clubbed together and try to prepare the cleaner action plan. S1 is geographical significance of the region and socioeconomic profile. S2 is air quality and uh, meteorological data, and S3 is a percentage share of individual sources in ambient air, and S4 is a percentage share of emission contribution from each source and analysis from emission inventories, and S5 is ongoing action plans and scope of mitigation measures. So before going to discuss the different aspect of cleaner action plan, I want to summarize the cleaner action plan in three major points. So where we have to majorly focus, that is, one is source, and second one is policy and mitigation measures. Third one is a field implementation. These are the three major points where we have to separately, individually focus. So first we have to target the source, then we have to make policy control measures, and then we have to implement on it field. Here I'm trying to discuss the cleaner action plan in four major points. Formation of cleaner action plan cell, guidance for training and implementation of mitigation measures, implementation of mitigation measures, and public engagement. Cleaner action cell. The cleaner action plan cell can be comprises the representative from the following departments. So we can smoothly implement or make any policy control measures by discussing with all the cell members departments. So first we have to form a cleaner action plan cell with the list of these departments. This can be varied. So the duty of a clean action plan cell will work for the following points. Comes under guidance for the training of implementation of mitigation measures, implementation of mitigation measures on the field, and public engagement. Before starting the field implementation of control measures, we have to train our field officers in terms of technical and social aspect of the project. The technical aspect talk about the brief of technology, how it will work, and what is the advantage and disadvantage of the technology. And in terms of social aspects, how we have to communicate about the people sector are responsible for pollution and the affected peoples. There is many other social aspects which are discussed later in the slide. The assessment of work is very important, which is which comprises in 3 points. At the assessment of work at pre, during, and post is important to track the effective implementation of Cleaner Action Plan. The following assessment points are briefly discussed in subsequent slide called a review mechanism. So, the review mechanism presented the assessment of work before implementation, during implementation, and post implementation. Under this identification of source and site, first we have to identify the ground level problem and discuss about proposed plan to control the air pollutants. In case of implemented sites, first we have to talk to make the list of implemented action plan at individual source. And another point is to list out the periodic activity performing to control the emission from the specific source. In the air quality analysis section, we have discussed about source identification. Here, this schematic presentation showing one additional method to identify the or report the source, and it is field observation. It can be done by the government official agency or could be done by public engagement. Public engagement for the ground level report of pollution source could be useful in many ways. They will be follow up the mitigation measures on field in their area where they live or work. They will aware about to other people also about the different pollution sources. So public engagement is very useful when they report at the ground level, where lot of gap are present when any cleaner action plan implemented on the field that probably missed by the officials or technical person which are taking governing those policies. So many other sources such as vehicle exhaust and non-exhaust, garbage dumping, burning, and individual industrial activity contribute pollution in ambient air. In the last 3 decades, control technology has been implemented among those sources, but immediate benefit is not visible due to large sector of implementation. Therefore, for some of the sector, mitigation plans were continuously revised and implemented. In this section, we have discussed the implemented sites for two categories as current year implemented site and previous year implemented site. In the current year, cleaner action plans have implemented based on new research data or field observation. At the current year, cleaner action plan implemented site, we have to analyze the effect of implemented plans over the region by comparing the microenvironment air quality analysis. Although the scientific and field team already giving feedback to concerned authority, feedback from local people will enhance the effect of implemented plans. The CPCB has already provided a platform for public engagement, like in Samir app for a pollution source related problem in their locality. Assessment of implemented clean action plans by comparing air quality data, a working team, and public feedback will ensure that as to reduction of emission contribution from the source. Based on this approach, we can focus other target source in the region. Another benefit of the plan is this: we can identify the contributing source other than the local. For example, this is an example for review of identified site and implemented sites. I've taken the road dust emission source which significantly contribute in ambient air. So in identified site, kind of major source of dust on road surface, we have to identify the kind of major source of dust on roads surfaces, such as unpaved shoulders, waste dumping at roadsides, or it may be the road condition. So based on these observation, we can propose the cleaner action plan. And at implemented site, the clean air, the green belt development and periodic dust removal activity, periodic water sprinkling, removal of source of dust. So we have to know at what period dust removal and water sprinkling activity going on. Why dust is built up at the road surface? We have to know these all these questions at implemented sites. So how we track the work done, field work done, and how long effect of work done would be effective in controlling the source. So this is an example to how we can review our identified site or implemented site for any kind of source. So, so based on in this slide, I have prepared or categorized our cleaner action plan in four major category: low priority, medium priority, high priority, and immediate priority. As in NCR region, priority-based emission control strategies are already implemented as per the graded response action plan during adverse condition of in the winter season. So we can use this at implemented site uh, uh, based on our findings on field observation or public feedback. So we can categorize our our cleaner action plans uh, through these priorities. So, Cleaner Asia has developed a toolkit for assessment of city to improve air pollution and GHG emission management. This is a based on key assessment area presented by three index of score card. Uh, there is a three uh, indexes are air pollution and health index, clean air management and capacity index, clean air policy and action index. For each section, the score are assigned based on 6 category, that is excellent, good, moderate, poor, very poor, and critical. There is more sub parameter in each of the sector. Based on those parameter analysis, a region falls under above mentioned category, and for more information, we can go through the this link. So, Cleaner Asia has expertise in formulating cleaner action plans based on our developed tool. So, this is my last slide. Thank you, everyone, for your attention. If you have any question, please ask the question. And
thank you, Mr. Anil. I think there are some questions in the chat box. Just a second. Mr. Azad has few questions. I'll just into Mr. Azad, you can now unmute yourself and ask the question. Mr. Azad?
Anchal, maybe you can read his question, which he has put in the chat box.
I think it's more like a statement than a question. So Mr. Azad has asked that as part of forest, particularly along roadside, we have mainly eucalyptus in Haryana. What about biodiversity? So basically, I think he's asking is what about other biodiversity that we can actually incorporate in Haryana alongside road?
Along roadside plantation will help in minimizing the road dust emission by because the plant shade increases or prevent the moisture loss of dust presented on road surface, and technically or scientifically that highly moistured particles of road dust or dust particle have less chance to resuspend by any force developed by the movement, the vehicle movement. But plantation of eucalyptus is not more effective. I don't know why eucalyptus plantation are in Haryana along the roadside, but plantation of any small height plants that can develop more shade on and on the roadsides, which can be helpful for preventing some level of road dust emission. Hello.
Hello. Thank you, Mr. Anil.
Okay.
We'll move on to our next session, which is by Ms. Glinda Bethan Betrina, Deputy Executive Director, Clean Air Asia. She will be sharing different regional case studies on Clean Air Action Plan development. We welcome you, Glinda.
Thank you very much, Anchal, and thank you to all of our special guests. I am pleased to be able to share with you case studies on clean air action planning in other Asian cities. I hope that these experiences can inspire you and also give some ideas on how you can proceed with developing your own clean air action plans in the different cities within the state. So our hope is that at the end of my presentation, we are able to impart information on the clean air action planning process, and that also the regional practices on clean air action planning is shared to all of you. In this slide, I show the strategic framework for air quality management, which has been developed by Clean Air Asia throughout the years. As you may know, Clean Air Asia was established in 2001, and we have been working for 20 years in this region to help national governments, state governments, and cities to improve air quality. Very important in the strategic framework are the first steps of developing your knowledge base to find the evidence of the levels of pollution, the sources of pollution, and the impacts of air pollution on health and the environment. Based on the science, we are able to develop targeted solutions. And these solutions are needed at the national level, at the local level, and of course, at the individual level. At the local level, this is where clean air action plans and measures are very important. And because it is where the mitigation measures are institutionalized. A clean air action plan is very simply really a process of determining the most cost-effective strategies for improving air quality. It is government-led, but it is also inclusive, being a multi-stakeholder process and participatory. So this is the basic definition of a clean air action plan. In considering, there are many different factors to consider in developing the clean air action plan. It's looking at the impact of air pollution on public health and the environment, looking at the costs, and this is the costs of action and inaction, any mitigation measure or omitting a mitigation impact on the state or a city's finances and economic condition. It also looks at the governance around air quality management, the need to gain political will and support from our leaders and support from the different stakeholders, including private sector and the public for the solutions that we propose. It also looks at the available technologies which are needed to reduce the different sources of pollution. And lastly, but most importantly, that our mitigation measures in the Clean Air Action Plan are aligned with national, regional, and international priorities. In the next slide, you will see here just a basic roadmap of the planning process. So first is knowing what we want to achieve. So defining the air quality objective. And the next step is establishing the planning process in collaboration with stakeholders, followed by developing a roadmap, and then finding the evidence or establishing the baselines, setting your targets, selecting the relevant and appropriate control measures, planning for implementation, and then reviewing whether we have progressed in meeting our goals. I'll start now with the example of Bogor City. This is a city in Indonesia. As you can see, we work with several different government agencies and institutions in the Clean Air Action Plan development. So here is a more detailed view of the different stakeholders and the role that they played in the Clean Air Action Plan development. So we had the local government associations or APEXI and the Ministry of Environment and Forests, which endorsed Bogor as the pilot city. And within Bogor, we primarily worked with two agencies. BAPEDA is the local planning agency, and DLHK is the agency which collects data, so the Environment Office. And to augment the technical capacity, we worked with the academia, and these are the institutes, the Local Agricultural Institute, IPB, and ITENAS. So within Bogor, these are the key steps that were undertaken. First, to assess what is the status of air quality currently in the city, and what do we know of the air pollution and the climate impacts. Next step was the planning step, where we developed the objectives for clean air of Bogor City together with stakeholders, and then developing the control measures and the monitoring framework. And of course, the last step is the taking action step or implementation. So going deeper into the Bogor experience, the first step was really to gather all of the scientific information, which was taken from ambient air quality monitoring data. In this case, they didn't have a continuous emissions monitoring system or continuous air quality monitoring system. So in this case, the city conducted a short-term ambient air quality monitoring exercise to gather data. And then they also gathered all of the information about respiratory health cases to understand which of these might be related to air pollution. And another step taken in developing the evidence base is the emissions inventory. Now, very important here is that the city used existing information. So they already had a greenhouse gas inventory with all of the activity data. With the same activity data, estimates, top-down estimates were made of the emissions from air pollutants. And the next step was on the planning step. So after knowing the baseline assessment and the emission inventory, then the city looked at its medium-term development plan. So that's the RPJMD and other documents to see where they might be able to integrate or mainstream air pollution action. And these are some of the solutions or mitigation measures that were identified by the stakeholders to address specific sources. So for motor vehicle emissions, they aimed to reduce motor vehicle emissions. And some of the indicators that they mentioned was an increase in the number and coverage of their bus rapid transit system, promoting more public transportation. On area sources, their goal was to ban and monitor straw burning and waste burning through proper waste disposal. And some of the strategies identified is information, dissemination, and counseling, and involving the implementation of climate villages and energy saving programs in the commercial sector. So these are some of the examples of specific actions that the Bogor city included in its action plan. Now, let's move to another city in Southeast Asia, and this is Marikina City in the Philippines. They call themselves the shoe capital of the Philippines. Here again, you will see that very important from the very beginning is the evidence gathering. So the emissions inventory, which is basically just knowing what the sources of air pollution are, and then conducting air quality monitoring. In this case, the monitoring was done, the monitoring data was taken from stationary sources, fixed stations, but they also employed mobile monitoring. So they went around the main streets to assess the level of pollution. And again, they did health impacts assessment and stakeholder consultations. So as emphasized earlier, the process of Clean Air Action Plan development is participatory and multi-stakeholder. So we again worked with the National Environment Agency in the Philippines, and at the local level, we worked with the City Environment Management Office, and we also expanded the stakeholder base with private sector. So we had Mitsubishi, Aclima, and First Philippine Holdings as companies that helped us in implementing the project in Marikina. And again, academia, so several universities and Marikina residents were involved. In Marikina, here, these were the types of data that were collected. And as you can see, the data collection really requires that we work across agencies, not just with the environment office of the city. So for emissions data, for example, we needed to reach out to the transport office for all of the motor vehicle information and the city health office for the health data. And just to show the types of data collection and scientific work that is done. So here you can see we overlaid all of the types of industries on a map to see where they are located. And some of the mobile monitoring systems that were conducted. We also have here the filters, which have gone very, very dark from the air pollution. So this is an example of the emissions inventory showing the different sources and their contribution to air pollutants. Here, this is very, I would say this is quite interesting from a local decision maker's viewpoint. So as you can see here, this is the result of the mobile emissions, mobile air quality monitoring that was done. So you can see here the streets and the different, the grading of PM 2.5 concentrations. The darker, the more red it is, the higher the concentration. and overlaid on a map of the city. And we were able to see that in certain in certain hotspots, there are children and other vulnerable populations that live very close to these hotspots. Like on the lower left, you'll see an elementary school where there's a very high concentrations of PM 2.5. And on the upper right-hand side of the map, you'll see the industrial area also with a a place where young people congregate. And so this became very important for the city to identify measures to reduce health exposure of people. And this project really emphasized the need for resource sharing and collaboration among stakeholders, including private sector, NGOs, academia, and policymakers. And moving to another city in the Philippines is Iloilo City. It's a university town, and here we also developed a bottom-up emissions inventory and short-term air quality monitoring because they didn't have a continuous air quality monitoring system at that time. And there were I highlight here two main mitigation measures. One is communicating health impacts of air pollution, and another is coming up with a microfinancing scheme for reducing indoor air pollution from indoor cooking. So these are some of the information materials that were developed by the city, and they really went down from the city level down to village level to explain what was the impact of poor quality stoves to the health of people. And in addition to the materials, they also provided an option of a cleaner fuel that was affordable, that people could get small loans for. So this is a canister-based cooking that was quite affordable, and they estimated that 2,638 households shifted to the cleaner liquefied petroleum gas cook stove, and resulting in 10 metric tons of PM10 avoided. Also, in relation to diesel smoke belching vehicles, the information and education materials and activity campaign also reduced the number of smoke belching violations in the city. Another city that we are working with in the Philippines is Manila City, and actually this city is partnered with on a learning program with Delhi, and this is the 3M funded Asia Blue Skies program. So here again, an emphasis on the need to communicate air quality data to the people. So these are results of air quality data from micro air sensors that were installed, prior to what we call the quarantine, and during the quarantine, and after the quarantine, when there were less strict measures. And all of this information was shared to the public via social media in the local language and explaining in layman's terms why PM 2.5 is important, why is it important to your health, and what you can do to protect yourself from its harmful impacts. And now moving to another country is a very interesting example of Chengdu in China, where they also developed a clean air action plan, and based on the plan, they implemented certain measures and they monitored the results of the measures through time. So after 4 or 5 years, they were able to show which measures contributed and what percentage the measures contributed to the reduction of specific pollutants. So this is a very interesting slide which shows that in the Clean Air Action Plan, these measures on the left-hand side were the priority measures that needed to be taken. So industrial structure adjustments, energy structure adjustments, pollution control in industry, fugitive dust pollution control, mobile source pollution control, straw burning control, cooking oil fume control, heavy pollution emergency. And the graphs on the right-hand side show the reduction of the specific pollutants. So you have there sulfur dioxide concentration reductions, nitrogen oxides reduction, PM 2.5, no, PM10 concentration reduction and PM 2.5 concentration reduction. And in the pie chart, you see there which specific measures and what is the percentage of their contribution to the emission reduction, showing that the mitigation measures were effective in lowering the ambient concentration of the pollutants. And so just to say that the Clean Air Asia continues to work with cities and countries to develop clean air action plans. This one is ongoing, funded by the Asian Development Bank, and we are developing clean air action plans, this time backed up by a financial plan. And these are the 7 cities that we will be working with. And just some final thoughts. What we have learned after working for more than 15 years to help cities, states, and national governments develop clean air action plans is that air quality management activities need to be really grounded on a strategic framework, which require baselining of air quality, determining the sources of pollution, and assessing health impacts. And secondly, that collaboration with different stakeholders and across agencies are important. And lastly, that tracking progress, finding out what air quality improvements were achieved, what changes in policies and institutions, and what technologies were implemented are very important to show success. Thank you very much, and I hope that my 25 minutes have been helpful. I look forward to discussing and engaging with you and learning from your experience in India.
Thank you, Glenn.
Anshal?
That was really insightful, and thank you for sharing so many case studies. I'm sure the participants must be taking note of it, and if they have any questions, I request them to kindly come forward and kindly put it in the chat box. We have our eminent panel still with us, so it will be great if you can take advantage of this and write down all the questions you have, and we can answer them right away.
Hi, Anshal. Maybe I can pose a question. Actually, I was very interested to see to read the comment of Azad Singh sir, where he said that in certain places there are cities with very high air pollution levels, but they're not considered in the non-attainment city list. and therefore they have no incentive to develop a clean air action plan. I just want to understand, maybe from the other panelists as well and the attendees, uh, why is that so? Why do you think, how could we change that, that even those who are not in the non-attainment list, uh, how could we encourage them to develop their own clean air action plans? What incentives could be provided, maybe by national government, so that they actually prevent air pollution from happening in the cities? I'm not from India, so I would really be interested to hear your thoughts on how we could, how we could encourage even those cities that are not non-attainment to develop their action plans.
Thank you, Glinda. I think that's a very good question. And I think that will be, I will direct that question to either Dr. Vivek Saxena or Mr. Yashpal, who is also with us here. So would you like to answer the question by Ms. Glinda? So you are on mute.
At first, when I was when I read the comment, Anshal, at first I was thinking maybe there is a real need for national government to move. I mean, to say that a city needs to take action. Do you think that is the case? Any other person from the panel can um, can also educate me?
Yes, definitely. I think Mr. Yashpal is trying to unmute. He will be able to answer this question in a better way because he is working with the government right now, and he has a huge experience, which he also mentioned about in his special address. So we'll just wait for him to answer the question.
No problem.
I think he is unable to unmute. I don't know what is happening.
Vishnu and Achal, can you help in getting Mr. Yashpal unmute?
Yes, sir. I'm trying to send him a request to unmute. Sir, if you're getting my request to unmute, please kindly click on OK.
I think Mr. Chetan Agarwal has mentioned something in the chat box.
Yes, that's right. I see.
I think now,
Yeah, so
now Mr. Yashpal is unmuted. Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yes. Unfortunately, I didn't get her. In fact, I was engaged with someone.
mm-hmm. Sir, there is a question in the or there was a comment that in some cases, if a city is not in the non-attainment list of the CPCB, it is not encouraged, or there's no incentive for it to develop a clean air action plan, even though it is already experiencing quite high levels of air pollution. I was wondering uh, if you could share a little bit more why that is the case, why there would be no motivation for that city to develop its own clean air action plan.
No, in fact, it is the mandate. There are various laws which uh, ask the city administration to prepare plans and implement those. So, no external motivation is required. It is the mandate, and as per the law, we have to make the plans and implement it. And in Haryana, the government of Haryana and Department of Urban Local Bodies they have asked all the districts to prepare environmental plans and implement those. So we have already submitted, most of the districts have prepared their own plans and submitted to the government for implementation. So only thing is sometimes we lack funds, sometimes we lack human resource, sometimes we lack some technology, and that's why we are lacking behind. But right now, the government at the level, central government level and the state government level, there are various initiatives which are providing technology and some financial help and some human resource also. So now everyone is being asked and they are being motivated and trained to do a lot of activities which can prevent air and water pollution. And fortunately, National Green Tribunal and other honorable courts, they are also giving directions on daily basis, and they are also monitoring the cases by getting back the reports. And they are also sending some committees at the ground level to see what's happening there. So they're positive. There are both type of motivation. In fact, positive and negative. If you are not implementing those, you can be held responsible and action can be taken against you. So there is a remarkable change at the ground level, and we are under tremendous pressure. And of course, a few officers, they are motivated enough to implement a few things which can make things better. So in the coming years, I'm very hopeful that the cities in Haryana, they will see a lot of changes. As commissioner, I visited a few cities in Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat states, and I found them beautifully managed. And to be very frank, initially there was an impression that we need a lot of funds to make things move. But there are models. Even National Green Tribunal gave this model to polluters pay. So people have to contribute, and now we are implementing those models which does not need any financial support from outside. People are expected at bulk waste generators and polluters, they are expected to contribute for putting the systems in place. So there are so many ways and means, and I'm telling from the ground zero that a lot of things are happening, and in the coming years you will see a lot of improvements in these fields.
Thank you very much, sir. I think that is really true, and that a city doesn't have to wait to be in the non-attainment list to actually do and develop those environmental plans and clean air action plans. In the chat box, sir, actually, there's quite a very interesting suggestion here by one of the participants. I think this is Chetan Agarwal. He suggested that maybe one way of convincing these cities that are near non-attainment is to help by modeling the air quality trends, and to show that if they go with business as usual, then in the next few years they will become non-attainment if they don't do anything. And then another suggestion from the same person is that maybe either the state or the CPCB should come up with a second category, a list of the cities that are nearing non-attainment. Just wondering what you think of that, of those suggestions.
Sorry, is it for me to answer?
And, yes, sir, if you would, or any other in the panel.
Sir, if you can answer this question.
Sorry, I didn't get it. In fact, Mr. Chetan Agarwal, he has posted something.
Yes, sir. So the suggestion is that do we need to come up with a list for cities which are near the non-attainment cities? And we should be tracking their air quality for 5 to 10 years. And if they continue to do their business as usual and the emission levels are projected to increase, then they could take the steps as per the Clean Air Action Plan.
Yes. So already some Darshana from GMDA, she has also posted a message. CPCB through various means and Sameer app, which has been provided to the people, and they can post their problems, and the ULBs are expected to take action and post back their response. So CPCB is not only following the AQIs and but also they are providing various solutions through apps, and they are following up. Their officers are going to various ULBs and monitoring what is happening there. Regular follow-up meetings are being taken. So a lot of activities are happening through CPCB and various other government departments. And as I mentioned earlier, NGT is very active these days, and NGT is not only issuing directions to ULBs, but to the deputy commissioners and CPCB and state pollution control boards, and they are expecting to implement all these plans.
I would like to add that certainly this can be one of the recommendations also for these deliberations, that generally when we designate any city as a non-attainment city, then we think only we have to take action in that city only. But at the same time, there should be some measures that city should not reach to that level that we designate as a non-attainment city. And that should be one of the key challenge for the other urban cities which are also growing up very fast. So that should be parallelly, as Yashpalji has rightly pointed out, that all the districts, they have been sensitized. But at the policy level also, with the CPCB and the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, this can be one of the key recommendations of this series of this capacity building or training workshop we are organizing, that we have to also ensure that the cities should not reach to such a limit that they are categorized as a non-attainment city. So we should not take pride that number of non-attainment cities are increasing. We should have that over the period of time, how to bring the city out of the non-attainment category.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Yashpal, sir, for your suggestions and answers. I hope that the answer is okay for the attendees. And if they have any other questions, they can still put it in the chat box. In the meantime, I will request Ms. Prerna to take over, and we have just few questions for the attendees to answer. Prerna?
Yeah, hi. So I would like to ask some of the questions which are quite related to your cities and related to the today's session. So I would request everyone to go to www.menti.com. I would request everyone to click on the link www.menti.com and put the code 1660180. I hope everyone is on the page, the menti.com. So there you would be, some of the questions would be visible to you on that screen. I would request you to answer your questions on the same. So first question is, does your state have existing air action plan? So out of our participants, 3 have answered yes and 2 have answered no. Can we have more answers, please? Okay, so it's going 50-50. Okay, 5 yes, Okay, so I think five of them are mentioning that yes, they have existing air action plan, and 4 are mentioning there is no action plan. So as we have already discussed in our last question from Glinda, there are some of the policies around air action plans that need to be considered and that are already considered. Okay. The next question is, how do you think the geographical location of a region is important in terms of air pollution? First option is, it reveals the meteorological profile of the region. Second, it reveals the general prevalence of continental air coming in from neighboring states. Third option is, it helps primary observation in pollution dispersion conditions of a region. And fourth is all. So mention your answers, whatever you think is the correct one. Okay, all. May I expect more participation, please? Okay, so the correct answer is all. So you all were right. Because all three options mentioned against this question are correct. So our next question is, which of the following statements is true about the air quality index? First is, does it indicates the color of the air, or it predicts particulate matter level in your area, or it determines the intensity of sound and sound pollution, or it estimates air pollution, mainly sulfur content in the air? What do you think is the correct answer for this? What is true about air quality index? Okay, so we are glad that we are all on the same page. The correct answer is right. It predicts particulate matter levels in your area. Next question. Okay, so our next question is, which is the first national framework in the India of air quality management to set a time-bound reduction target? Is it GRAP, NCAP, NGT, or NAMP? More answers? Anybody have more options in your mind? Okay, so the correct answer is NCAP. Our next question. The next question is, what is the proposed target reduction in pollution by 2024 in NCAP? Is it 50 to 60%, 20 to 30%, 60 to 70%, or 40 to 50%? So yes, the correct answer is 20 to 30%. Regions that do not meet air quality standards are designated as failed, non-achievement, non-attainment, or non-actualized. Yes, the correct answer is non-attainment. The next question. What is the basis of the selection of attainment city and non-attainment city? Concentration of pollutants higher than the NAQS, AQI in the range of very poor, presence of high industrial zones, or the presence of high residential zones. Okay, so the correct answer is concentration of pollutants higher than the NAQS. So the next question is air quality index value between 200 to 300 falls under which category? Good, satisfactory, moderate, severe, or poor? Any more answers? Okay, so the correct answer is poor. 201 to 300 comes under poor category. Next question. Which standard vehicle emit more pollutants? BSVI, BSIV, BS3, BS2. Okay, so everyone is correct. It's the correct answer is BS2. Next question. Which are the following data is necessary in the CAP formulation? Source apportionment, pollutant concentration, sectoral emission load, meteorological profile, or all? Okay, so the correct answer is all. Thank you so much for your time. And it's very nice to know that all of the attendees are very well aware of our CAP questions. May would I like to Aanchal to proceed, please?
Thank you, Prerna, and thank you all the attendees for answering the questions. Now I request Dr. Vivek to kindly share the closing remarks.
Thank you, Achal. And at the outset, let me thank all the authorities, senior officials, especially from the government of Haryana, who have been part of this training and capacity building workshop for the Haryana officials, especially from the Pollution Control Board, from the Municipal Corporation of Gurugram and Faridabad, also from the Gurugram and Faridabad Metropolitan Development Authorities. Really grateful to Mr. Sudhir Rajpal, Additional Chief Secretary, and CEO of the Gurugram and Faridabad Metropolitan Development Authority. Then Ms. Garima Mittal, who is the CEO of Faridabad Smart City Limited and also additional CEO of the Faridabad Metropolitan Development Authority. Mr. Yashpal, Deputy Commissioner Faridabad and also Municipal Commissioner Faridabad. And also from other officials, Mr. Jagdish Chandra, PCCF and Chief Wildlife Warden, Haryana, and Mr. Anant Pandey, the Director General of Haryana Foreign Cooperation Department, and also Mission Director for Haryana Skill Development Corporation. So, and all the officials who over these 3 days have participated in this training program, and also our panelists from the international organizations from different corners of the world, who even at the odd times joined for being the part of this training and capacity building workshop. And I'm really grateful for Clean Air Asia also to have its partnership with the IUCN and beginning this series of such type of capacity building and training and sensitization workshop, for which in Haryana, the Faridabad Gurugram cluster was first series in this direction. And we will have a couple of more such workshops and training programs. And we would also like to have your feedback also, so that if how this training programs can be improved further and what components can be added more and how can it be made more participatory. So in this continuation of this series, the next hour program which we are organizing most probably on the 8th, 9th and 10th of March, that will be focusing on the non-attainment cities in Delhi and UP cities. And I would like that if all of people who have joined these things, if they want to again join, and some of the technical part which from the IIT Kanpur and some of these global examples, some of them have, they can also encourage their other colleagues also, they can also join during that workshop series. And it was a great learning for us also, that to find out how to organize these more future programs, how to customize it more in a better and effective way. So with these words, on behalf of IUCN, I thank everyone for making this capacity building and training workshop series successful. All the participants who are part of this training program, they will be also provided certificates of participation from IUCN and Clean Air Asia. And with these words, I thank everyone, and I hope the learnings and deliberations from this workshop will be helpful in meeting the objective of reducing air pollution, and we will be having a cleaner air in future. Thank you once again, everyone.
Thank you everyone for joining in today.
Thank you. Congratulations for a successful workshop. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Linda. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.